Donald Sienkiewicz of the Estate Preservation and Planning Law Office in Amherst, New Hampshire. So we're back with John and Janet, and we're going to talk about what is happening to John's assets after John and Janet tragically die in a car crash. We don't have Janet's estate up here because my whiteboard's not big enough to write down all her assets. So we're just going to look at what John's assets do after both mom and dad pass away together unexpectedly. So remember, John had this 401k with his current employer with $60,000 in it. Janet was his primary beneficiary. And remember, the contract with Fidelity or Schwab or whoever is the custodian of the funds, that dictates where that money is going to go. Not your trust, unless it's in the trust or it's been pointed at the trust. So this is why funding a trust, actually putting assets in the trust after you write the trust agreement, or aligning your assets with the estate plan, and that's what my colleague Vinny Bonazzoli in Lynnfield, Massachusetts calls it, and I think it's a much better term because specifically we don't take estate retirement assets and put them in the trust. We simply point them at the trust, often by contingent beneficiary designation. So asset alignment is really a better phrase for what we do after you sign your trust agreement and create those empty buckets, those trusts. A lot of assets we put into the trust, but some, like retirement accounts or life insurance, we just point at the trust using a beneficiary designation. So takeaway point is, it's the beneficiary designation, it's the contract with the insurance company, with the retirement funds custodian, with the brokerage account company, with the bank that determines whether that asset is going to go into your trust and be controlled by your trust, or whether it's going to go through probate and hopefully at least through a pour over will and probate get pointed back at your trust, or whether it's going to go somewhere else entirely. Okay, so there is no more primary beneficiary, right? Janet died in the same blazing car crash as John. So who's the contingent beneficiary on this? Well, let's say there is none, so it's going to go to his probate estate. So who are his heirs in probate? Remember, they had two children. They've got Timothy, age 6, and Emmy, age 3. Now, can Timmy and Emmy inherit property? Of course not. They're under 18, okay? So what's going to happen is someone's going to have to petition the probate court in the county where mom and dad lived to be the guardians of Timmy and Emmy's estate. And things can really go off the rails there. The grandparents or the uncles and aunts can disagree as to which one of them should be the guardian. Sometimes they fight, sometimes they hire lawyers. It's certainly stressful and difficult for the whole family if planning hasn't been done. Okay, so same thing's going to happen, unfortunately, with that prior employer 401k and with that inherited IRA. Okay, those little kids cannot inherit that property. So someone's going to have to manage that property for them through a court-ordered guardianship and report to the probate court every year on how that money is being spent. That just adds cost. Okay, same thing with the brokerage account. Remember, it was transferred on death to Janet, but Janet's no longer here. It's going to go into John's probate estate, and the probate court is going to have to figure out where it goes after that. What about this life insurance? Now, on this one, remember, he said Janet is the primary beneficiary, the death beneficiary who's going to get the payout, but she's not there anymore. She died in the same car crash. Oh, good enough. He had children named, right? He had children after he got these life insurance policies, but what's the problem? Minors. Okay, so all of that's, again, going to go into their guardianship estate, and whoever wins the litigation about who gets to be the guardian of the estate, Uncle Fred or Grandma Pat, is going to end up managing this money for these kids. Okay, and how long are they going to manage the money? Well, at least for Timmy's half, until he turns 18, and then 3 years later, when Emily turns 18, she gets it too. Now we know just from John's side, there's $1 million there. So do we want that 18-year-old Timmy to inherit $500,000? No, I don't think so. Checking account, savings account, the cash in the joint checking, the equity in the house, all of this is going to get dumped into John's probate estate, all because the lawyer, like most estate planning lawyers out there, does not do trust funding, does not do asset alignment. So it's so important when we probate estates or settle trust estates, this is what we do. We don't look right at the trust. The trust is a simple thing. We know it's going to say everything to my wife and then to my kids. Sometimes it says things a little bit different, but most of them say just that. What we have to do is look at every asset and say, where is it going to go? So the problem is most lawyers out there, just like me a few years ago, we're leaving this up to the client, and it's no good. It doesn't work. It creates a big mess.